Guys, what's going on? And I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. I hope everything's good where you are. Guys, as you can see from my face, I've not slept. I'm in shock. Listen, a lot of you said, well, Imran, why are you in shock? We all knew that Bivol was massive and Bivol was a great fighter. Why are you in so much of a shock? Guys, when a guy's been winning and winning like Canelo Alvarez and dominating the sport the way Canelo's been dominating, moving up weight classes and doing what he's doing, you know, let's not try to all act like we expected this was going to happen, right? There were people that were picking Bivol, but let's not all now jump onto the bandwagon and say, well, we were all expecting this to happen, because majority of people had Canelo winning this fight. Let's not make out like this wasn't an upset and this wasn't a shock. It was. Now, in hindsight, when you look at it, Bivol is an exceptional fighter. He's a very talented and very good fighter. So it's not a shock in that sense, and Canelo's moving up weight class. But let's not kid ourselves. Bivol didn't look great in his last couple of fights, right? You had professionals, world champions like Barry Jones saying Bivol doesn't have any chance. These are professionals, guys. A world champion, Barry Jones, saying that Bivol has no chance. Many other, Bernard Hopkins, is he dumb? Bernard Hopkins is one of the greatest fighters, saying that Bivol has no chance. So the point I'm trying to make is that let's not all try to pretend now that, yeah, this was expected. It wasn't expected. Canelo was a favorite, and rightfully so. Now, did we underestimate Bivol? I even told you guys after I observed Bivol that Canelo could lose this fight. And a lot of you were telling me that, Imran, how come you've changed all of a sudden? How come you've changed your opinion all of a sudden? How come you're saying that? Because I saw Bivol fight. I looked at him, I studied his style, and I knew this is going to be a horrible, horrible fight. Horrible fight. Man, I have a look. I want to give a shout out to the Mexican fans. I want to give a shout out to them because I've seen their reaction on social media, on my channel, and they've taken defeat very well. There's no excuses. They're saying that they got this rubbish about, making excuses. They said the better man won. And fair play to the Mexican fans, because majority have come out and given Bivol his due and said congratulations. And this is what I mean. I really love seeing that. I really love seeing, in this case, Mexican fans who are supporting Canelo, who want Canelo to win, to come out and give Bivol his credit, because that's a proper boxing fan. That's a proper boxing fan. A lot of people say, Imran, you don't look too upset. No. I am very upset. I'm a massive Canelo fan. I've been following Canelo for many years. Since he knocked out Amir Khan, I became a huge Canelo fan. It's almost like he knocked out my favorite fighter, and since then I became a huge fan. I always want him to win. But at the end of the day, when I come on YouTube and stuff, I'm a fair man. I'll say how it is. And if Bivol wins the fight, I'll come and give Bivol his due and give Bivol his credit, because he deserves it. And most importantly, Bivol might go on to become a future great. We need to give people their credit. Remember, there's not one guy in the ring in there. There's two guys in the ring. Canelo's not the only guy in the ring. There's another guy in the ring who's looking to change his life as well. So I'm really, really on my channel, and a lot of the Mexican fans that support Canelo on Facebook and all that, they've been very humble in defeat. It's great to see. And they've been very, what would you'd say they've been very humble, and they've given Bivol his credit. They've given Bivol his due. They said that, Bivol was the better man tonight, and he beat Canelo, which is very beautiful to see from boxing fans, because it shows that, Mexican boxing fans love the sport of boxing. And some fans were also saying that Canelo needed to do more. Some Mexican fans weren't happy with Canelo, saying that I wanted to see him do more. I wanted to see him go out on his shield. Guys, all that talk about going out on your shield, it's all rubbish, in my opinion, right? Canelo tried the best he could do. When you've got a bigger man that's like 6'2", 6 inches taller, and he's a very good boxer, and he's hitting you and pushing you back and hurting you with big shots, because Canelo was hurting there. Not hurt like he was about to go down, but Bivol's punches were having an effect on him. Don't be, Canelo, we look at him as an Iron Man. But when you've got a guy that's a good boxer, that's hitting you with combinations that's way bigger than you, trust me, you feel those punches. So it's Canelo for me did the best he could do with what on that night. I just think Bivol was massive. But Canelo made a comment, and I was a bit disappointed in this comment. And a lot of people, gave Canelo a lot of stick for this. Canelo said, "I definitely thought I won the fight." Sometimes when you're a fighter of Canelo's level, it's very hard to accept defeat. You don't want, fighters are almost delusional, where they don't feel, they try to come up with every kind of excuse to why they haven't lost, to give themselves, if I did this, and this, I would have won this fight. But for me, they're doing that they're doing that for themselves. So next time they can say, yeah, I can beat this guy if I did this, and this. So Canelo in his head is saying, I won this fight. I thought I did enough to win this fight. But again, you've got to understand he's just been in a hard fight where, he's been well beaten or beaten, and he was the massive favorite. This loss would hurt him a lot. This loss would hurt him a lot. And I'm glad the judges gave Bivol the decision. I'll tell you why. Because for me, it would have hurt Canelo's legacy if he had won this fight. By the way, the scorecards were atrocious. 115, 113. There's no way that fight was 115, 113. It was quite wide. It was quite wide. Let's be honest, it was at least 9-3 type of fight. It was quite unanimously quite... I wouldn't want to go as far as saying it was one-sided, but it was quite a clear win for Bivol in that fight. I don't really think you could make a case for Canelo winning that fight or even it being close. And Canelo's saying that he feels that he won the fight. I don't expect any different. No champion's going to say, I thought I lost the fight. Even if they did, he in the ring, he did say, this is boxing. You can win. You win some, you lose some. But then afterwards, when he said, I definitely think I won the fight, I think Canelo will go and watch tape. He'll watch fight back and he'll realize that, he was soundly beaten in this fight. He was beaten by a much bigger, very good boxer. But I don't think we should get onto fighters that, and say that they won the fights after the fight, because like I said, fighters can be very delusional. Fighters can be very delusional. I think majority of the fans, we saw what we saw. And we saw the right man get the decision. The right man get the decision. I just hope now that Canelo Alvarez gets his due. Canelo Alvarez gets his credit. People saying he fights cherry-pick fights and he fights nobodies and he's fighting guys that are easy for him to win. Well, obviously not. Going on last night, obviously not. Bivol and all these guys saying that Canelo was ducking Andrade and ducking Charlo, Benavidez. I'm sorry. But, again, I was speaking to Christian on Messenger, and he thinks that, that's why he thinks Andrade beats Canelo because of what happened yesterday. But I don't think Andrade's as good as Bivol, in my opinion. I don't think he's anywhere near that kind of level. I think now a lot of people are going to come out and say, well, Canelo would get beat by this guy and this guy. Canelo destroys, for me, he beats everybody at 168. And a lot of people are saying that Canelo shouldn't take the rematch. I'll make another video talking about that. But we have to wait and see, because I'm obviously, you guys know I'm a Canelo fan, but I felt he was soundly beaten there. He was soundly beaten, and I don't know. Yeah, I don't know whether he would be able to overturn that. But in terms of the decision, I think the decision was a fair one. It was a fair one. I think the right man got the nod. And it's good for boxing, because if Bivol had been robbed last night, that would have been a black day for the sport. It would have been a black day for the sport. If Bivol hadn't got that decision, I remember watching TalkSport, and people were saying that, I remember Spencer Oliver was saying Canelo gets a few dodgy decisions and stuff. And Simon Jordan said Bivol's not an outstanding champion. He called him a mediocre champion, saying that, Bivol, he's not an outstanding. Alvarez will beat him. But absolutely not. So this is what I mean. Like, sometimes people can get carried away with some guys having... Like, I was like that. When I saw Bivol fight Craig Richards, I was like, this guy's not beating Canelo. No chance he's beating Canelo. But wow. You see these type of fighters like Dmitry Bivol, They fight at a very slow pace. There's no real intensity in their work. But they're the type of guys that when they step up level, they can raise their game. A lot of you think that Dmitry Bivol will beat Beterbiev. I don't know, guys. Styles make fights. Beterbiev is a lot bigger than Canelo. He's a lot stronger than Canelo. He hits harder than Canelo. You know, that's a very, very difficult fight. Very, very difficult fight. You know, I want to give a shout out to Ahmed. I want to give a shout out to D-Money. I want to give a shout out to Steven. I want to give a shout out to all Ray. I want to give a shout out to all Joe, Philip. I want to give a shout out to all you guys and all the guys. And there was many of you others as well that you guys picked Bivol to win this fight. And you said Bivol is being overlooked. Bivol will win this fight. If it goes the distance, Bivol will win a decision. And that's exactly what happened. It was a beautiful performance. And maybe a new star is born in world boxing. That was an incredible performance by Dmitry Bivol. You know, to go to Las Vegas, to beat Canelo in front of majority of his own fans, that was an incredible performance. Incredible performance. You know, against all the odds as well. Against all the odds, let's be honest, nobody thought he was going to win that fight. Nobody thought he was going to win that fight. You know, a lot of people saying, yeah, I'm saying now that he's going to win the fight. I know Bivol's, yeah, everyone after the event says it. There were people, like I mentioned names, and there was others on my channel that thought Bivol would win. But deep down, I think we all thought that even if it's close, Canelo will get the decision. But like I said, I think for me, fair play to the judges. And a lot of people aren't happy with the judges because they think the judges tried their very best. You know, one thing I want to mention is Canelo won the first 4 rounds on the judges' scorecards. They had him 4-0. What fight were they watching? 4-0 on the scorecards. Are you joking? Absolute disgrace. I don't see how you could see that fight 4-0 after 4 rounds. You know, that was an absolute disgrace of you know, judging there. But, you know, in the end, I'm glad the right man had his hand raised. You know, it's good for boxing. It's good for boxing that the right man, and also importantly, and this is what I wanted to mention, it's good for Canelo's legacy, because now we get to see how great Canelo really is. And what I mean by that is, can Canelo come and win the rematch? And my next video is going to be about what I think Canelo might have to do and whether I think Canelo can win the rematch. But this is legacy now. This is legacy, because everybody was saying that Canelo doesn't really have any challenges from 175 to 160. But you see, a loss for me, a loss doesn't make Canelo any worse. It doesn't make Canelo any less greater. But actually, it can make Canelo much greater if he goes and overcomes beats Bivol in the rematch. It makes Canelo much greater. Because now he gets the opportunity to avenge a loss. Whereas if, for example, he got, like, for me, if Canelo had fought Golovkin and lost that fight, the second fight, the way he won the second fight, Canelo would have got a lot more credit for that second fight. But because that first fight was smeared with controversy, I don't think Canelo got as much credit for the second fight. The way he adjusted, the way he changed up his plan. And let's see if Canelo's got a great boxing IQ. He's got a great brain, and he lives the life. He's going to be back in that gym on Monday, looking on what do I need to do in order, because this, you know what? This would be devastating for Canelo. Canelo would be really hurting right now, because as Canelo says, I eat, sleep, drink boxing. When you eat, sleep, drink something, this would be so difficult for Canelo to take right now. Honestly, this would be so difficult for Canelo to take. This would be devastating for Canelo. Canelo must be heartbroken right now. So Canelo's proven in the past he can come back from defeat, but he was a lot younger then. He didn't have the millions and millions in his bank account. Paulie Malignaggi made a great point on his channel, and a lot of you, some of the Mexican fans, made this point, that Canelo didn't bite down on his gum shield. He didn't really go for it, and he didn't do it with Mayweather. I think it's easier said than done. What did you want Canelo? Canelo's a smart boxer. Canelo doesn't really fight recklessly. I've never really seen Canelo, and when he does, he misses a lot of punches. So for me, Canelo was fighting the way he normally fights, but maybe, look, I think also why there wasn't no urgency in Canelo's work till the latter part. My brother made a good point in the video we did post-fight. Canelo was gassed. Canelo was gassed in the fight. He was gassed. So that didn't help him, in my opinion. That definitely didn't help him in, I felt like his activity towards the latter parts of rounds was not very high because he was gassed. You could tell by his face he was not comfortable in there. So that's my take. But don't give Canelo a lot of stick for saying he definitely won the fight. He had been in a tough fight, and no champion would accept defeat. They all think they won the fight. That's what every fighters are like. That's what all fighters are like. Nobody really accepts defeat that easily, especially when you're a champion of a higher level like Canelo. But yeah, Canelo will be back. He'll be back. And I'd love to see a rematch. Some people don't want to see a rematch. They think, well, what can Canelo really do? We want to see Bivol v Beterbiev. We've got our answers tonight. And we'd rather see Canelo fight Golovkin, which may be a very, again, people were saying that's not a competitive fight. Maybe that is a competitive fight. So leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section, bro. I'd love to know your opinion. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.